Hey Flyers fans, are you craving Flyers hockey? Are you counting down to the first game of the season? Folks, get ready for a new season of Flyers pregame report. I will be covering Flyers preseason and Flyers regular season hockey in 2024 to 2005. So stay tuned for Flyers pregame report coming in 2024 to 2025.
Hey everybody, it's me, Timmy Flyersguy, and welcome to another edition of the Flyersguys Top 10. I'm your host, Timmy Flyersguy, and I decided to change my plans for this video, and I am going to be counting down my top 10 favorite movies that I saw in the summer. That's right, folks. There are some great movies that I saw during the summer. Some of the best movies I saw during the summer, and I thought I would come on here. And count down my top 10 favorite movies that I saw in the summer. Folks, I have a lot of great movies that I've seen during a lot of summers. Some blockbusters, some okay movies, but nonetheless, some of my favorite movies that I saw in the summer. So, without further ado, let's get into the countdown, as I will count down my top 10 favorite movies I saw in the summer. Let's get ready to roll the footage. Starting off the countdown at number 10, we got Pokemon the Movie 2000. I saw this movie back in the summer of 2000, and I really enjoyed this movie because back then, I was a huge Pokemon fan. And in 2000, Pokemon had a bit of a lull in 2000, I'll say that. But this movie was pretty damn good. It showed us a lot of great new Pokemon, especially some new Johto Pokemon as well, such as Lugia, Slowking, and also a lot of new Pokemon in the mini movie that comes before this movie. It had a bit of a lull in 2000, but it got better. It got better in the fall of 2000 by bringing out more Pokemon merchandise, more Pokemon, and it just really brought some more intrigue into the Pokemon universe. I really enjoyed this movie because I liked the whole plot. You know, some people are saying that the plot is lame, but I like the plot. Ash Ketchum does whatever he can to save the world. I really like this movie. And if you guys haven't seen these movies yet, I have this countdown. Don't watch this video yet. So I saw this movie. I even got the VHS tape on Christmas Day 2000, and it came with a free Pokemon card inside the video box. And this was it was the last VHS tape I ever bought. So this is a great movie. The plot is that there's this crazy Pokemon collector, and he's looking for the rarest Pokemon. He's looking for Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, and the most legendary Pokemon of them all, Lugia. Ash has to try to protect this island. They go to this island, and they do try to protect the island from this Horrible Collector. Great movie. I really enjoyed this movie as a kid in 2000. I was 13 years old, yes, and I was still into Pokemon. I can't help it. It's just such an addictive show, and this movie is one of my favorite movies. I went to see this movie. My cousin Jay and my brother Chris took me to see this movie in the summer of 2000. And I really enjoyed it. It was such a great movie. And that's number 10, Pokemon the Movie, 2000. At number 10, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Oh, yeah. I was obsessed with the Power Rangers as a kid. I watched the series, I collected the toys. I didn't really start watching the series until late in the series in 1994. And I collected all the toys. I had a lot of the toys, also collected the promotional McDonald's toys that they had for Power Rangers, the movie as well. I also um, I also had a Highlights magazine that had a Power Rangers, the movie comic book inside that edition of Highlights. I saw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, in the summer of 1995. And I was hooked from the start. I remember my dad went to McDonald's and got like all the toys from it. I think my Uncle Gary was able to help out in that as well. Also, I really wanted to see this movie, and I asked my mom and my dad to take me to see it, and I asked everyone to take me to see this movie. I wanted to see this movie so bad. After seeing the preview of the movie on the Fox network, I was hooked and wanted to see this movie. So, in the summer of 95, my brother and my sister-in-law took me to see Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. And let me tell you, I was absolutely excited to see this movie. I really like the cool special effects. Really loved the whole aspect of the movie. Loved the new villain News. He was entertaining as hell. This movie came out during the last season of Power Rangers. And I have to tell you, this movie was one of my all-time favorites. I really enjoyed this. I still have the movie. I have the movie. I bought the movie on DVD a couple years ago, and I love this movie. I love the action. I love the suspense. It's just such a great movie, and I really enjoyed it. And get to see this movie, one of the best days of my life. So at number 9, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. At number 8, Grown Ups. Yeah, I probably talked about this movie before in an earlier top 10 video, but I thought I'd put it on my list. And just a heads up, I will not be putting Grown Ups 2 on this list, because that movie was god awful. Horrible sequel. But the first movie was amazing. Grown Ups is a story. Grown Ups. I saw the movie Grown Ups in the summer of 2010. My mom and my sister took me to see this movie. It is a great movie. It stars Adam Sandler, Kevin James, Chris Rock, David Spade, and Rob Schneider. It's the story of these 3 guys. These 1, 2, 3, 5 guys. They grew up together, went to school together, end up going their separate ways when they start growing up. Oh, and ironically, the thing that brings them together is the passing of their basketball coach when they went to high school. They all get together and they all reunite as Adam Sandler, his family was about to go on vacation to Milan, Italy, when the passing of their coach happened, and they had this idea to go to the cabin that they used to go to when they were kids. And that's exactly what happens. They all join up at a cabin during the summer. Hilarity ensues. And let me tell you, this movie was so hilarious. I was in the theater. I couldn't stop laughing. My mom couldn't stop laughing. And my sister could not stop laughing. This movie was hilarious. And I laughed my ass off every single part of this movie. I never laughed so hard at a comedy movie in my life. In this movie, my side was killing me from so much laughter. I could not stop laughing. The whole theater couldn't stop laughing. This movie is comedic gold, and I loved every minute of it. So at number 8, Grown Ups. Wait, hold on a second. I gotta do this again. I think I missed one. Ten. Alright. 8. At number 7, this movie could have been at a higher number, but I gotta tell you, all these movies I have on here are it's probably gonna be a hard choice. At number 7, Disney's The Lion King. I saw this movie back in the summer of 1994. My brother and his girlfriend at the time, now his wife now, took me to see The Lion King. I was kind of reluctant to see. I was kind of excited to see this, but I didn't know that the movie was going to be absolutely spectacular. I went to the movie theater. We all watched The Lion King. And let me tell you, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. This movie is a masterpiece of cinema. I enjoyed every second of this movie. And I was only a little kid, so the first movie I ever saw before the very first ever movie that I saw was Muppets Christmas Carol. And I gotta tell you, it was the first movie I saw and with my sister. And then I saw the movie Lassie. And then this would have been my third movie that I saw in theaters. Let me tell you something. The Lion King is one of the greatest Disney movies ever made. Hands down. Great soundtrack. And how can it not be a great soundtrack? The soundtrack with the legendary Elton John. Having Can You Feel the Love Tonight on the Lion King soundtrack. I saw this movie at the beginning. This movie is about a young lion cub named Simba. His father, Mufasa, gets killed by his Uncle Scar. You guys haven't seen the movie yet? Don't watch this part, or even mute it. if you have to, or skip this part. And Scar kills Mufasa, and Simba sets out on a journey. And on that journey, he meets two friends, Timon and Pumbaa. Timon is a meerkat, and Pumbaa is a warthog. Simba goes on a quest to be king. And he also goes on a quest to get revenge for the death of his father, Mufasa. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite childhood movies, and one of my favorite movies that I saw this summer. I loved every minute of The Lion King. And I love The Lion King. This movie was a masterpiece of cinema, and a masterpiece and a beautiful work of art. Great movie, great story, wonderful animation. Really enjoyed this movie. And at number 7, The Lion King. At number 6, Saban's Power Rangers. I saw this movie back in March of 2017. March of 2017. A lot of people were leery about this movie. A lot of people said that it wouldn't sell, that it wouldn't be good, that nobody would like it. But me and my mom and my sister went to see it. I liked it. I thought it was a great movie. It was kind of more of a darker, grittier Power Rangers movie. It was something different. It wasn't the same Power Rangers movie. It was different, and I really liked the suits in this movie. I liked the fact that Elizabeth Banks played Rita Repulsa, and I liked the fact that Ken Jeong played that Bryan Cranston played Zordon. And you gotta know, Bryan Cranston is a great actor. And also, Ken Jeong is Alpha 5. This movie was actually pretty damn good. My mom and my sister were very leery about watching this movie. They kind of thought it was boring. So that day, we all went to the theater. I wore my Green Ranger t-shirt, R.I.P. Jason David Frank. I wore my green Flyers hat, because, it matched. Before we saw the movie, we ended up going to the dollar store right next to the theater and getting some candy. I bought some Sour Patch Kids bubble gum. Sour Patch Kids gum. It was pretty good. It wasn't bad. But anyway, getting into the movie, my mom and my sister took me to see this movie. All went to see it. My mom and my sister thought this movie was going to be boring. But little did they know, they actually liked the movie. I liked it too. And I love the cameo at the end of Kimberly and Tommy, the original Power Rangers. Such a great touch. Such a great throwback ending to the movie. I really enjoyed this movie. The only thing that sucks is there wasn't a sequel. There should have been a sequel. And honestly, there should have been a sequel. Hell, there should have been a VR Troopers movie. But that will never happen. But this movie was a pretty damn good movie, despite what the critics say. Or despite what the critics predicted. So at number 6, Saban's Power Rangers. And now we get into our top 5 now. Our top 5. Yes, I know this is a winter movie, and I know this movie came out in the winter. But I first saw this movie back in the month of May. And May still counts. It was the summer. It still counts, technically. So I went to see this movie, A Man Called Otto. And this was not in theaters. This was on Netflix. I watched this movie in May. May of, and it was summer. It was the summer of 2023. May of 2023. And I have to tell you, this movie really had me going. This movie really got my emotions flowing. For those of you who don't know, A Man Called Otto is a movie starring Tom Hanks. And it's about Tom Hanks plays a man named Otto who lives in a small suburban community. And years ago, his wife passed away. His wife died. His wife passed away. She was in a tragic accident, ended up in a wheelchair, and then many years later, and days later, ended up passing away. Otto was a story about an old man who's really grumpy, sad, and just hates the world. He attempts to, trigger warning here, he attempts to commit suicide multiple times and fails every single time. Otto still mourns the loss of his wife. The neighbors try their best to talk to him, but he just stays in his house all day and never goes outside. Until he meets his neighbor, played by he meets his neighbor who is a Latin American, and she tries her best to help Otto. She isn't one of the nice people in the neighborhood. She just moves in, and right away she tries to make friends with Otto. Otto is reluctant to be friends with this woman. He's reluctant to be friends with this woman. He ends up meeting her family, ends up teaching her how to drive, and ends up becoming very friendly with her. She then tries to get Otto to tell her about how his wife passed away. Otto flips out and tells her he no longer wants to talk to her. So he wakes up the next day. She comes over to Otto's. Otto comes to her house. And something's going on with the neighborhood. Apparently this retirement home is trying to illegally send elderly people to a retirement home. Otto tries to stop that. He goes over to the neighbor's house, asks her if he can use the phone. She says she's still pretty mad at the things he said. He apologizes to her, and then they become friends. Otto becomes a friend of the family. He's even friendly with her kids as well. This movie has such a sad, sad ending. When this movie ended, I was tearing up because this movie, it really got my emotions flowing. And at the time, I was going through some heartbreak. And for some reason, since I got all those emotions out, that heartbreak was gone. And this movie made me realize that movie made me realize that even though you may be heartbroken, you still have to fight on. You still have to persevere and make the attempt to try to be happy and to find that happiness once again. I love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies that Tom Hanks has ever done. Tom Hanks is a genius at making movies. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. And I was reluctant to watch this movie at first because, it's a sad movie. But I love this movie. It's just so sad and it really hits you right in the heart with its story. He may be a grumpy old man, but he captured the hearts of many moviegoers that went to see this movie. And this movie is based on a movie from Sweden called A Man Called Ove. And folks, this is a great movie, and I suggest you go see it. Or if you have Netflix, check it out. And at number 5, A Man Called Otto. At number 6, The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw is a biopic about the legendary Von Erich family. It's about the Iron Claw is about the biopic about the legendary Von Erich family. And it's also about the tragedies that befall the Von Erich family. It also tells their journey in world-class wrestling, and also their rivalry with the Fabulous Freebirds, and also many, many tragedies that befall this legendary wrestling family. The Iron Claw stars Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, we all know him from Shameless, Harris Dickinson, Maura Tierney, Stanley Simons, Holly McIlvey, and Lily James. I really love this movie. And, it really made me cry at the end. The ending of this movie really got my emotions going. I didn't know much about the Von Erichs, but my brother, he grew up watching the Von Erichs and World Class Championship Wrestling. I like this movie so much. I also thought about revisiting World Class Championship Wrestling and watching it on Peacock because I heard a lot of great things about World Class Championship Wrestling. This movie was such a sad movie. The fact that the only surviving Von Erich brother was Kevin Von Erich. He's the last surviving Von Erich brother. Such a sad movie. The way Carrie Von Erich died. The way the youngest son died. This movie is a great movie and a great biopic. And to any wrestling fan, I suggest you go see this movie. Honestly, we haven't had a good wrestling movie since The Wrestler. And this movie tops The Wrestler in so many ways. So number 4, The Iron Claw. At number three, Ted. I saw this movie back in 2012. I went to the movie theater with my mom and my sister. Before we went to the theater, I had some dinner, had some McDonald's, and then we went to see Ted in the theater. Oh my God. Ted stars Mark Wahlberg, Mila Kunis, and Seth MacFarlane as the voice of Ted. I really love this movie. This movie was so raunchy, but it was so funny as well. Me, my mom, and my sister were laughing our asses off when we watched this movie. It was the funniest movie I've ever seen. This movie, I have to say, was funnier than Family Guy. That's how great it was. This movie is about two buddies, Mark Wahlberg and Ted. It goes back in the movie when the Mark Wahlberg character, Johnny, is a little kid. He makes a wish for his teddy bear to be real. His teddy bear comes to life and starts talking. Sooner or later, the two grow up and end up hanging out together. Ted reluctantly tries to get a job, and he gets a job. And I gotta say, if the synopsis is going to be a very long one, so let's just cut to the chase. This movie had me laughing my ass off. The whole theater was laughing their asses off. My neighbors were Pakistani. They were laughing their asses off as well. They enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed that movie. And this movie was one of my favorites. So at number 3, Ted. Now we get into my number 2 pick. And the reason why this movie was higher than the first Ted movie is because Ted 2 is funnier than the first movie. You thought you read your ass off watching Ted? You ain't seen nothing yet. Ted 2 is one of those movies that'll have you laughing your ass off every single time you watch this movie. This movie was one of my favorite movies. We seemed to have some technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Timmy Flyersguy here. I just wanted to remind you about the Orange and Black Recap. The Orange and Black Recap will be making its return for the 2024 to 2025 Philadelphia Flyers season exclusively on the Timmy Flyersguy YouTube channel, my Instagram Timmy the Flyersguy 215 and the Flyers Extreme Facebook group.
Folks, we are back. We had some technical issues, but I am back here to continue the Flyersguys Top 10 episode. Where were we? Oh yeah, that's right. At number 2, Ted 2. Ted 2 is the sequel to the first Ted movie. Starring Mark Wahlberg, Seth MacFarlane, and Amanda Seyfried. I really enjoyed this movie. And let me tell you, this movie was funnier than the first movie. You thought the first Ted movie was hilarious. This movie tops that in so many ways. Let me tell you, this movie is absolutely hilarious and funnier than the first one. I was cracking up. I went to see this movie in the summer of 2015. My mom and my sister, we all went to see this movie. And we were laughing our asses off because this movie is comedic genius and one of my favorite movies. After this, there was no Ted 3 after this, but we did get a Ted TV show on Peacock in January of 2024. So that's one good thing that came out of that. So number two, Ted 2. And now we're getting into our number 1 pick. Dun, 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 dun. And at number 1, World Trade Center. Why is this number 1? Because, to tell you the truth, All these movies could have been number one on this list. But there were so many great movies on this list. And this one is one of my favorite movies. I saw this movie in the theaters with my mom and my two sisters. This movie is based on the September 11th attacks in 2001. This movie shows the courage of the New York police officers, firefighters, and rescue units, how they all came together to help people that were affected by the tragedy of the World Trade Center collapse. This movie is about the firefighters the police officers. This was about that were stuck underground, buried under the rubble of the World Trade Center. This movie, I saw this movie in 2007 with my two sisters. We went to the theater to see this. And let me tell you, this movie really moved me. It's a tale of survival, a tale of courage, and a tale of humanity for your fellow man and women. This movie had me tearing up in the theaters. I was literally tearing up. Because 9/11 was one of the most saddest things that has ever happened, not just in this country, but in the world. And this movie had such great acting in it. And I loved every minute of this movie. It's one of my favorite movies to watch. And I really enjoy this movie. It's one of the best movies that I've seen. I had to put this at number one because the acting in this movie was great. The story was great. And it was such a great movie, great biopic, whatever you want to call it. This movie is, if you're an American and you're proud to be an American, I'd suggest you go see this movie because it's one of the best movies ever made. It's one of my favorite movies on this list, and that's why World Trade Center is number one. Guys, if you have not seen this movie yet, go and see it. I'm sure they got it on Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu. Just go see this movie because this movie is truly a work of art, and truly a great dedication and representation to the courageous people of New York City. So, guys, I'll be right back with my final thought. So, stay tuned, folks. And just like that ends another episode of the Flyersguys Top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In my next video, I was thinking of doing the top 10. I think I already did one of those. We're gonna do the top 10. Top 10 beautiful Philadelphia Flyers fans. In our next video, guys, check it out. We'll have a countdown video for the top 10 most beautiful, the top 10 most beautiful Philadelphia Flyers fans. So, guys, get ready. You're going to get to see some lovely Philadelphia Flyers fans, lovely female Philadelphia Flyers fans in the next video. So, folks, thank you for joining me here on the Flyersguys Top 10. I will see you next time as we count down the top 10 most beautiful female Flyers fans. So, guys, stay tuned because we'll be right back. The summer will continue to sizzle. It cooled down this episode, but in the next episode, it's gonna come back. It's gonna sizzle in the next episode. So stay tuned, folks. Thank you for joining me, and have a great day. And I hope you guys check out the movies that I had in this countdown. There were some great films. I honestly wish I could have put all of them. It's kind of hard for me to decide which one was going to be number one, but I had to do it my way. So, guys, I'll see you next time in the next episode of the Flyersguys Top 10. Have a good day, everyone.